Hello and welcome to a new type of video. This is basically my idea of a custom Lego set based off the Andor Star Wars TV show. This is based off of episode 6, The Eye, and it's basically represents the scene where they're trying to escape on the freighter and they basically get rumbled about their plan and a gunfight breaks out. So the set contains of 3 main areas, that being the freighter, the vault, and this bit of terrain. It contains 7 minifigures, and this basically, the way I tried to build this the entire time was that, okay, this is going to be a hypothetical Lego set. So hypothetically, what would Lego do here? What would Lego do there? And yeah, this is what I come up with. So let's go straight into it with the minifigures. Okay, so first up we've got Cassian Andor himself. This is from later on in the scene where he takes off his overcoat and he's got this blue shirt on underneath. I took this from the Inquisitor's transport scythe from Obi-Wan, and because of the little bit of skin showing on that torso, I had to use the old Cassian head with the old skin tone, which, while not perfectly accurate, I still think does look quite good overall, and I think this minifigure does work. Up next, we've got Val or whatever her name is. This outfit is quite difficult to see in the episode, so I just went with something that looked scuba diver-ish, because that's what she's wearing. She's got a printed little backpack there, which you can just about see, and also has some printed arms, because they wouldn't do that, but just for something a little bit different. And I don't think this hair piece is perfect either, but it's the best thing that I could come up with. And yeah, because the strands of her character's hair is really difficult to capture in Lego, but I think this is a pretty good representation. Up next is Nemec. Now, Lego usually doesn't put minifigures who die in scenes in the sets, but here we are. This one, you can see a little bit of the secondary face of the minifigure head I used, but besides that, I think this is quite good. He's using the Luthen torso and legs purely for that big green overcoat, and I think that looks really good. Even though it doesn't look too much like the episode, I think it still does work overall. Maybe not so much from behind, but front on, you can definitely see it, at least in my opinion. Up next, we've got Lieutenant Gorn, who's wearing his Imperial uniform. He does have dual molded grey and black legs. I know Lego would not do this, but you know, I think it just always looks better this way, so I did it anyway. He's got this large cape on, which is like a raincoat, which I think would be quite accurate to what he was wearing in the scene. And he's not wearing his hat anymore, so he's just got his hair on there as well. I think this looks good. Speaking of Imperial officers, we have the Commandant J-Hold. This probably is my least accurate figure of the bunch, purely just because of the head. I tried. He does a similar uniform, but with different badges and a big black cape. But on the actual head itself, I tried to get the closest thing to the character's skin tone, and I was mainly focusing on the beard, even though it doesn't do that in the corners of the mouth. But oh well. And the hair is also meant to represent his when it gets all sweaty and worked out. It looks alright. This minifigure I'm super happy with. This is Kimsey from the episode, who's basically the DJ of the base. He's not a DJ, but I think this minifigure works really well, and I think it looks really accurate to how the character looks in the show. I like the mustache, I like the hairpiece, really. This is what basically made this video take so long to get out, was getting that hairpiece. But yeah, I love the uniform with him. I think it looks really good. And this is probably my favourite minifigure of the bunch, even though it does look a little bit generic. And last but not least is just a generic Imperial soldier. They were not using stormtroopers on this base. This was just the similar kind of uniform they were wearing. Similar to Mimban, just a little bit less dirty. But still slightly dirty, so I gave him some dirty legs. So he's just wearing some armor plates and then this big helmet piece at the top. I just gave him one of the most generic Star Wars faces because that's exactly what Lego would do. They just give him a very generic face that looks mean and angry. Anyway, onto the set. Okay, and here is the main build in the set. It is the Aldhani credit transfer shuttle vehicle thingy whatever. Yeah, this is quite an interesting build. It's the most interesting part, I think, is the shape and how it looks like that. I actually worked around this piece here to create the bulk of this ship, which I think was an interesting start, and that's basically how I formed the rest of it. The scale is not perfect. It's obviously much bigger in the actual show, but I had to work with my parts budget, and that's basically how we came to this. So from the top, you can see the rails, which would obviously be connected to the actual tunnel, and which is basically what shoots it out. So this had to be part of the ship. So I'm very happy with how that looked out. You can see it's tiled in the middle, and then using these pieces on the side, I think that looks very good. On the back, if we go around to here, you can see there are the 6 engines, just like in the show. You do see this from behind quite a lot in the show, so that was an important angle to get for me, and I think generally I captured it well enough, even though if it's not perfect in like the details here. Over to the sides, you can see I've got the basically 3 big doors. These do all open up. I'll show you what that all looks like a little bit later. And then you can see there's the yellow lights on top, which are in the show, and I've also got some sticker detailing across the sides just to give it a little bit more pizzazz. I was initially planning to put stud shooters on this because it's a Lego set. Of course it would have stud shooters or flick fire missiles. Not flick fire missiles, those were gone by 2015. Spring loaded missiles. But I realised this isn't a vehicle which would get into fights because it's more of a transport rather than an actual fighter ship. I know that the Lego have done transports before but still put guns on them, but I couldn't see anywhere where I could really fit these unless I had to get rid of these stickers and probably put some stud shooters onto there. That's probably the best plan I could have done. The windscreen down here is quite simply made. It's just using this canopy piece in the front, and then the sides are built through using these pieces. They should be slanted a bit like this wedge plate, but I couldn't quite work out how to do that, so this is just what I've got, but I think that looks fine enough on its own. Now, this canopy, of course, does all lift up, and I will show you that just now. Easy enough to access. You just take off this roof section, which fits nicely on top of there, and then furthermore, you can also just pull off the actual canopy piece to get a nice view into here. You can see straight back to the interior. More on that later and why it's not very detailed, but you can see in here is a seat in which you can sit. Well, I guess Andor is probably going to be the pilot of this, so he can sit in there, and you can see he's got a couple of control panels just to see where he's going. And this is the look with the doors down. You can see they don't quite perfectly lie flat, but I think they're fair enough, and also these end bits do help to just give that further bit of actual contact on the ground. You can see this is a minifigure scale to it. They can perfectly easily fit through that door, each of them. As I said before, the entire vehicle is scaled down, so it's not perfect, but it fits well enough. There's not a load going on in the interior, if I'm completely honest. You can see in the back there are some spaces to stack the credits, which I'll show a little bit later on. I was initially going to put in a play feature here in which you could crush Namek with the cart, but in hindsight that may be a little bit in poor taste and something Lego would definitely never do. But yeah, that's basically that with the side down. So speaking of sides, let's get to the side build. And here is our side build. This is basically just a part of the base or the cave. So you can see here is like this walkway that comes down into some caves, and also the vault itself. Now the first thing about the general structure itself, you can see it's actually on a swivel axis, because very much like a Lego play feature itself, you want it nice and movable, so it can clip in like that, so you can have it just flat if you want to rest it against a wall like that or something. Or if you want a little bit more dynamic play, you can unclip it and spin it around like this, just to have 2 angles going on. I know it does create a bit of an awkward gap in between, but just for that overall 3-sided thing with the vehicle here, that can also work. But for the purposes of this, I'll just show it like this for now. So you can see I've gone with yellow as the main railing colour. It may not be completely accurate, but it does quite pop compared to everything else in the build, and I do like it, as well as black for the main staircase and walkway. I'm not sure if this is a technically legal technique to build this rail, because it is not connected on the ground in any way. It's held in up there and down there. Is that legal? Who knows? You can see along the walkway loads of space for minifigures, and same with the staircase going down. You can see there's 3 lights here. They're each on a ball joint, so they can move around if you want them to, but I don't know why you would. Further down, there is some rock work. It's very, very simple stuff. Probably could have mixed a little bit of light bluish grey into the terrain here just to make it the colours a little bit different, but oh well. And you can see here there's a bit of space on the ground to pose some more minifigures, like I've got this guy here. Into the rock face, you can see we've got a couple of small lerps, and there's also some pipes in here just for a little bit more detail. Moving to the other side here, you can see we have the vault, which is just closed around on the side. This has a opening roof section just here, so you can get your fingers in there to help. And also, if you spin this around like so, you can see here's the back of this, and see it's not perfectly filled up, but there is another gap in here just for extra play, just so you can move in. Spinning this around, there is a way to open up the actual vault, which is just by, should probably be a control panel there actually. So by pushing the control panel, which was always there, you can lift up the vault doors like so and just pull them out, just built with a couple of ladder pieces, and access the main vault. But as I said, this roof is removable, so you can put it back on and get back inside the vault. Quite difficult to see in there, but if you just move the light around, you can see in there just as well enough. The back wall is black, so it looks like it does have some proper depth, even though it's only about 6 studs deep. If I just move my light, just like so, you can get some good view into it, where you can see we have the credits. Now you can stack these along the sides of the plates like there, and you can also pull them out the door using the next little part of the set, which is the trolley. Set, you can see it's very simply built all in all, just a couple of pieces here and there with some trans cylinders just for stability and to make it look like it's actually hovering. I say stability, it does knock over quite easily. You can see it's scaled to a minifigure here with the Commandant. It's a little bit too big, but to basically fit the way I've built the credits in this set, which I can just showcase here. They're built to basically represent the hexagons, and that's basically the main thing I was going for, just to get as much gold and black in there as possible, and I think it looks quite good. I think I've got 5 included in the set in total, so you can have 2 in the vault, 2 in the cart, or 1 in the ship, or just whatever, however you want to order it based on where you are in the scene. The minifigure can hold on to this, even though, as I said, it's a little bit too tall, but I think it looks quite good, and it does fit into the ship and into the vault, which is what you want, really. And there you have it. That is my custom Lego Star Wars Andor set, Escape from Aldhani. I'm really happy with how this turned out. It's something completely new for me and for me to try on this channel. You can see that I've whipped up some box art here on the screen just now. It's not great, but it's alright. This was my best photoshopping efforts put together into this. As you can see, I don't have much experience with Photoshop. But yeah, this is the set altogether. Ideally, this would be around that $100 price point, or 90 quid, because that's how I came up with the minifigure count and generally how much is going on. This vehicle is probably way too big for that price point, and there's probably too much details in it. I was initially going to do a part count for this, which I may still do. If I have done, I will leave it in the description of this video, because I will do that after I've taken this all apart, and I'll just count it backwards, if that makes sense. So I'll just count as I take parts off. But there we go. That is the custom set. Hopefully you liked it. If you did, and don't forget, this is a custom set. This is not real. So you will not be able to buy this unless Lego makes it and rips me off, in which case I want my royalties, even though I don't own Star Wars. Never mind. Anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked it, like the video. That's what the like button's there for. Comment which part of it is your favorite. For me, I don't know, but some, like this minifigure I'm super proud of. Super proud of the freighter. You know, there's lots of different bits that I really like. And subscribe if you're new, because I might try more of this kind of stuff. Or let me know other scenes from Andor that you'd like me to try and do a similar thing with. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. And goodbye.